There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Hello and welcome to Cancelled, the podcast that looks at mostly silly celebrity crimes and assigns charges and sentences to them so we can all move on with our lives. I'm Claire Stevens and I'm joined by
Jessie Stevens. Sorry, I just got a very itchy nose. That's all right. I just burped halfway through saying my name, so things are going very well so far.
Good start. On today's episode, we're talking about King Charles.
Every time you say it, I'm like, who?
Yeah, who's this king?
Yeah, I still think he's a prince.
He'll always be my prince.
You did a thing, didn't you, on TikTok about netball positions?
Yeah.
You did like Royal Family Netball Positions edition. Who did you assign Prince/King Charles again?
Gold offence.
And why was that?
Rage.
Okay.
He's got a boiling rage inside him, which we'll get to.
He's feisty.
He's just a little bit a bloody thing.
Yeah.
He's a bit bloody thing.
He's a bit bloody thing and he a bit starts shit with the umpire.
He does.
Yeah.
He'd be very into the rules and very upset if anybody broke
That wasn't
them.
offside.
Contact, seriously. That was 3 feet, etc. Now, we're focusing on King Charles the individual, not King Charles the symbol of the British monarchy.
No. That's not as fun.
So just a super quick disclaimer. Having a hereditary system of power is fundamentally undemocratic. The royal family are a glaring symbol of unearned privilege and perpetuate class divisions and inequality.
When we feel like being boring, we'll cancel the monarchy.
Then you've got the Crown's long history of violence, racism, slavery, and just generally pillaging primarily non-white nations to create the British Empire. And to be honest, it's pretty bizarre that we spend most of our time arguing about whether Meghan Markle is being kind of snarky on her podcast.
Correct.
But again, it's very difficult to hold King Charles as an individual accountable for hundreds of years of history. It gets messy. So we're limiting the cancel courtroom to just his life and controversies, of which there are plenty. King Charles III, or Charles Philip Arthur George, and yes, I know what you're thinking, Arthur George is the name of Rob Kardashian's sock line.
Is it really?
Yes.
Rob Kardashian is breaking into the fashion industry with his line of Arthur George socks. And now you can get your hands or feet on this must-have trend.
Arthur George. I actually thought that's a lot of names. And then I thought, is that all the names?
I know.
Like, I think that's all the royal names wrapped up into one name.
Charles is such a royal name.
Like, it'd be
as is
difficult to
Philip.
name your son and it to not be a name that Prince Charles has.
Yeah. Doesn't have William or Harry, but Harry's real name isn't Harry.
No, it's something else. Sorry, we're going to have to Google
Is it
that.
Philip?
Prince Harry's real name is, of course, Henry Charles Albert David.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. The royals have claimed a lot of white man names. Anyway, he is king of the United Kingdom and the 14 other Commonwealth realms. That includes Australia. At the age...
hail
the king.
Charles.
At the age of 73, on the 8th of September 2022, he became the oldest person to come to the British throne after the death of his mummy. Did you know that he spent 6 months attending Geelong Grammar when he was growing up?
No.
Yeah, fun fact.
Fun fact, isn't that where Miss Higgins went?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, royalty.
I don't think they crossed over.
No, I reckon they missed each other by approx 50 years. In 1981, he married Lady Diana Spencer, and they went on to have 2 sons, William and Harry. In 1996, they divorced. Diana died the following year. Charles is a member of over 400 charities and organisations and has advocated for the conservation of historic buildings and the importance of architecture in society. Sir, be more interesting. He has quite boring hobbies and interests.
Yeah, he does.
Doesn't he really care about
Gardening.
passionate.
He loves a garden.
Passionate.
He loves the soil. Bit of a fertilise.
like agriculture vibes.
Yeah, plants.
He's also a passionate environmentalist, which good one, Charlie.
Yeah.
We
He
endorse
was
that.
before his time in terms of that.
Yeah, very ahead of his time. He's had some hits, he's had some misses,
Yeah.
but that was a hit. He has written or co-authored over 20 books.
Such as?
Such as The Parks and Gardens of Cornwall. But Jessie, He's also released a book of watercolours.
Okay.
He is a watercolourist.
He's a painter.
He's a painter. We'll get to that. He's weirdly into alternative medicine and has even actively spoken about the benefits of Gerson therapy, which is the one Mel Gibson was advocating for. Okay? Not a great history. My structure for today is as follows. Diana and Cheaton. Tampongate specifically. The end of the marriage. Having a temper. His watercolours. And finally, Sir No.
Okay.
In which we bring up a few miscellaneous things.
It's always our favourite section.
Yeah. Diana and cheating. Charles and Diana's relationship began the way all good relationships do, with Charles dating Diana's sister. Lovely. He was with Lady Sarah Spencer, and he went to Althorpe, which was Diana's family home, to go grouse hunting. I don't know if it's grouse or goose, but it's a bird.
Is it a bird?
So it's weird that he's so...
And you shoot them.
Yes.
I thought he liked animals.
Yeah, but he does shoot them.
All
He
right.
does a lot of
It's
hunting.
It's a pest.
He likes hunting foxes specifically. Diana was 16, Charles was 28. In an interview just after their engagement, Charles described his first impression of Diana. He said, "I remember thinking what a very jolly and amusing and attractive 16-year-old she was. I mean, great fun and bouncy and full of life and everything." That's creepy.
Geez, child.
That's really creepy.
I remember seeing this. I think I've only watched 1, maybe 2 episodes of The Crown. It's not for me. But I think I did watch an episode where he met Diana, maybe. I tried to watch that one.
Oh, yeah. She was very much a child.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 3 years later that they reconnected. In my notes, still creepy. In the documentary Diana, in her own words, she said, "He'd just broken up with his girlfriend and his friend Mountbatten had just been killed."
Not his friend Mount. Sorry, was that his name?
Mountbatten, one word.
Oh, I thought it was Mount as in like count.
No.
Mountbatten.
Mountbatten, one word.
Not Mountbatten. Continue.
I said it would be nice to see him. We were talking about Mountbatten and his girlfriend, and I said, "You must be so lonely."
Is it Mountbatten like, is that the first name or the last name?
I assume the last name.
Okay.
But it's confusing because I'm sure that's their last name. Anyway, I'm pretty sure the royals are very incestuous. But Diana said, "It's pathetic watching you walking up the aisle with Mountbatten's coffin in front. Ghastly. You need someone beside you." And Charles leapt upon her and started kissing her.
All right.
I think he was saying,
He pounced.
"Me is lonely.
Yeah.
Me is lonely, lady. Are you still child?" Charles, at least you asked. He proposed a few months later in February 1981. They did an engagement interview. I've watched this whole thing. And it's so weird because it's just so before the era of people being comfortable on television. They were so uncomfortable, and Diana's sort of looking around and being very shy because she was probably still a child.
Yeah.
And the interviewer asks if they're in love. And Diana says,
Of course.
and Charles says,
Whatever in love means.
Well, it
You can
obviously
put your own
means,
interpretation.
obviously means two very happy people.
Yes,
Once
thank you.
again,
As you can see.
congratulations.
Well, from us, congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. Very kind.
It's a terrible sign.
that's
It's a terrible sign.
That's really, she said in the years after that she thought it was a strange answer and it traumatized her. That would be really, really strange. And to a global audience,
I
just
know.
say yes.
I know. And he did know what love was because he knew he loved Camilla.
He did. He knew he wanted to be her tampon,
Yeah.
which we'll get to. When they were married in July, 750 million people around the globe tuned in to watch. They went on their honeymoon, and sources have said since that Charles was in constant contact with Camilla. They went on a cruise on the Britannia, not a normal cruise ship, was the Queen's boat. Diana said, "On our honeymoon, cufflinks arrive on his wrists. 2 C's entwined like the Chanel C. One knew exactly. So I said, 'Camilla gave you those, didn't she?' He said, 'Yes. So what's wrong? They're a present from a friend.' And they had a massive fight. And Diana said it was jealousy, total jealousy, and that she was very upset.
I remember I was dating a boy that I loved for maybe 3 weeks, and I checked his phone for messages from other women, and there was on his phone background a picture of his ex-girlfriend, and she was naked in the photo on his phone background, and I challenged it, and I think that's similar.
was that consensual? Did she know she was naked on his phone?
Yeah. It was like a tasteful, arty photo.
Oh,
that,
right.
it was very Tumblr.
Okay.
It was very Tumblr, and it was very Camilla and Charles because it was like, well, there's just a photo of my
She's a friend.
friend's body on my phone.
She's a friend who I occasionally have sex with and like to see naked. What's your problem, lady? So Charles also kept a photo of Camilla in his diary.
All right.
So that's actually very similar. That's like the
just a face photo?
I don't know, but it's very 1980s equivalent of that.
Yeah,
Having
yeah.
someone in your phone. He opens his diary.
Oh,
Diana's like,
Camilla sticks out. Oh.
oh, come on now, Charles. You know how every person over the age of 60 has a photo on a cruise where they're wearing a Hawaiian shirt and like a lei?
Yeah.
They're not in Hawaii.
No.
They're
Somewhere in the
tropical.
Caribbean, yeah.
And Charles would love that.
Oh, he'd love it. He'd love
Diana
it.
less
Because
so.
he'd wear a fun shirt, and he doesn't do that at home. This is holiday Charles.
So they go on this cruise, and apparently Charles went on the cruise wanting to read and paint. And a biographer wrote that he'd taken along his watercolours and some canvases and a pile of books, which he'd hoped that he and Diana might share and then discuss in the evenings. Diana, however, was no great reader, probably because she was really young, and she's like, I didn't marry someone to sit around and paint watercolours on a boat.
Or can we also just talk about, Claire, what books do you think he brought? Go on, name a title.
They were by a mystic. Do you remember learning about this in uni? Mystics? They're basically like philosophers, but like weirder.
I don't want to read that book.
Yeah, that's what, and by one mystic in particular. They're the books he brought.
Oh, great. So you read the first chapter and you go, I hate this book and I hate the author. And that's all we've got here.
Yeah.
And she's wanting to read Twilight, True Blood, 50 Shades.
Like a
normal
normal
holiday books. And he's going, read the Mystics. Oh, you don't want to read the Mystics? How about 17th century architecture?
No,
How about
Charles.
the Gardens of Cornwall? No.
Why don't you watch me paint?
No.
That's horrible.
No one wants to watch you paint.
So
Do you have any pictures of his paintings? Are they coming?
don't you worry.
Okay,
Hey,
because I
Jessie,
just need to know if he's good.
you know me too well. But she hated his wretched books.
Yeah.
That's how it was described, and was offended that he might prefer to bury his head in one of them rather than sit and talk to her.
Mm.
She resented him sitting for hours at his easel, and they
He brought
had
an easel on board.
and they had a lot of fights. So one day, when Charles was painting on the veranda deck of Britannia, he went off to look at something for half an hour. He came back to find she'd destroyed his paintings and all his materials. To that I say, yes, queen. I say it is annoying that he was painting so
It is
much on the
annoying, and
honeymoon.
it is, that's a relationship, isn't it? It's going, you enjoy this, let me draw a dick on it. Do you think she drew a dick on it?
I hope so.
Drew a dick and balls on just in the corner, and then she signed it, die.
Later, Diana would tell Andrew Morton that during our engagement, my husband put his hand on my waistline and said, "Oh, a bit chubby here, aren't we?" And that triggered off something in me, and the Camilla thing. I was desperate. I remember the first time I made myself sick. I was so thrilled because I thought this was the release of tension. That disorder only got worse on the honeymoon and throughout the early years of their marriage. Then the couple have Prince William, and in 1983, they go to Australia. And you probably know this because it got brought up when Meghan and Harry were here, that apparently Charles was jealous of Diana's popularity
Ah, yes.
and observed that people had come to see her and not him.
so was little Willie there with them?
Yeah, little baby Willie.
Okay.
Yeah. So Charles was really upset, but to him I just say,
Be better.
well, all you want to talk about
Are watercolours, gardens,
and architecture.
Yeah.
And then you have this wife who's really freaking interesting.
she's just fun and laid back.
Yeah.
And you're like, does anyone want to watch me paint with my watercolours?
No.
No, it's not an interesting hobby. And I feel sorry if people have boring hobbies because it's not their fault. It's what they've gravitated towards. And they need to find niche online communities and not try and project that onto others, such as Australia.
Exactly. The following year, they have Prince Harry. And Diana said Charles always wanted a girl. Harry was a boy. Charles's first comment was, "Oh God, it's a boy." His second, "And he's even got red hair." That's really mean about little Harry.
He was such a cute little
He
kid.
didn't mean it. He was just being bonded.
Was he born with red hair?
Yeah. Charles had met Camilla years before he met Diana, and she was in an on-off relationship with Andrew Parker Bowles.
Yes.
In 1986, it's well reported that the affair between Charles and Camilla began. In 1989, Diana confronted Camilla at a party. She would go on to tell Andrew Morton.
It's actually like maths.
It's so much like maths. It was a party.
It's a dinner party. And they've gone to the dinner party and someone said, go and die.
And she's gone, no, I shouldn't.
And then they've given her 3 champagne. It reminds me of like a scene with Hayley. And they're all kind of talking. And then she's like, hey.
Yeah.
Camilla.
Hey, I've got something to say. Except they're British. So they're like, don't do that with my husband.
Camilla.
Don't.
Stop it.
So she says, the worst day of my life was realising that Charles had gone back to Camilla. And one of the bravest moments of my entire 10 years of marriage was when we went to this ghastly party. She says she told Camilla, I know what's going on between you and Charles, and I just want you to know that. It became an open secret. Oh, I just want you to know that I know. Diana.
Nicely done.
Moving on to Tampongate. In January 1993, multiple tabloids published a transcript of a 6-minute telephone conversation between Charles and Camilla.
Do you know who the first tabloid was? Did you?
I know it was Australian.
Yeah.
Which one?
It was a New Idea. The rest of the world went, oh, it's a bit much. And Australia went, it's not enough.
It's a bit icky.
And it was Australia that went, we've got no line.
No.
We're here to have a bit of fun. People deserve to know about this man on the other side of the world wanting to be a tampon.
Do you know how this was discovered?
Phone tapping, wasn't it?
Well, no, there was a guy who was doing like radio and he was kind of playing with a bunch of buttons and trying to work something out, and he came across this.
Most exciting, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen anything quite like it before. I think I got quite a large one here.
Is that Prince Charles talking to Camilla while he's married? You'd be so excited.
I would actually put it in all my group chats.
I don't know how this person stopped spreading the gossip worldwide for a while.
I don't think they did stop.
No, they did, because it was heard in 1989 and it didn't come out till 1993.
Oh, wow.
So somebody sat on it. Anyway, hotlines were set up so people could call and listen to the actual audio.
Brilliant. Content. You just got to find content.
That is the earliest version of a podcast.
Earliest version of a podcast, and it's also like early TikTok. It's like a quick little viral hit.
Yes, I would have just been
Can you
calling
imagine?
that.
Oh, can you imagine if it was now? It would be a soundbite. You know how on TikTok?
and you dance to it.
And you dance to it, and there'd be like a tampon dance, and you'd be mouthing the things.
Jessie, I'm going to be Charles. You're going to be Camilla. And
Okay.
we're just going to reenact
Okay, I'm going to be
part
Camilla.
of that conversation.
All right. You're awfully good feeling your way along. I don't even know what that means.
Oh, stop. I want to feel my way along you, all over you and up and down you and in and out.
Yuck. Sorry, that's not what she said. She said,
Oh, particularly in and out.
oh, that's just what I need at the moment.
Is it?
I know it would revive me. I can't bear a Sunday night without you.
Oh, God.
It's like that program, Start the Week. I can't start the week without you.
I fill up your tank.
Yes, you do.
Then you can cope.
Then I'm all right.
What about me? The trouble is I need you several times a week.
So do I. I need you all the week, all the time.
Oh, God. I'll just live inside your trousers.
Did you just ejaculate, Charles?
That
All
is
over
not-
your own trousers?
that is not
Sorry,
part of
I'm
it.
improvising.
I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier.
What are you going to turn into? A pair of knickers? Oh, you're going to come back as a pair of knickers, because she said that again because he laughed the first time. So it's like, just double down on the joke.
Or, God forbid, a tampax. Just my luck. Ha 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 ha.
You are a complete idiot. Ha 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 ha. Oh, what a wonderful idea.
My luck to be chucked down the lavatory and go on forever, swirling around on the top, never going down.
I actually am interjecting as Jessie here. Why are we flushing tampons?
Okay, I have to say, I have 2 thoughts. One,
Yep.
he's mentioned flushing a tampon, right?
Yeah.
But he's also acknowledged that it doesn't go down.
You know why? Because he's flushed 12. And it's...
He knows
Clogged.
it's bad for the toilet.
Yeah.
He knows it's not good for the toilet.
No, it's
And
clogged.
yet, I think the biggest problem here is that he is promoting the flushing of tampons and claiming to be an environmentalist. But anyway, keep going,
Yeah,
Camilla.
this is really important. I see hypocrisy. This is
Mhm.
not the act of a conservationist.
Conservationalist.
Tampon goes down, pokes turtle in the eye, bang, dead.
Yeah.
Turtle goes down, you know where it gets caught? In a dolphin's blowhole. The dolphin tries to let off steam.
And there's a tampon.
I just did. You can't see because this is a podcast, but I'm just like a buffer fish that gets stuck and it can't let out its air. So then the dolphin turns into a puffer fish. I can't. Okay. Oh, darling.
Until the next one comes through.
What? Is he going to flush an eye? Oh, perhaps he could come back as a box.
What sort of box?
A box of Tampax, so you could just keep going.
That's true.
Repeating yourself. Ha ha ha. Oh, darling, I just want you now.
Do you?
Mm.
Jessie, they don't know how to talk dirty.
No.
And it's very uncomfortable.
So what we've got is a prince flushing a box of Tampax down the toilet.
Mhm.
Would you rather be, quick one, pop quiz, a tampon, a moon cup, a pad? Go.
That's really tricky. I think
know.
a pad
Really?
would be the last one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe a moon cup.
Okay.
Moon cup. Best for the environment.
Yeah, yeah.
How about you?
You're not going to flush it. No, I do agree.
Jessie, the end of the marriage. The marriage was falling apart. In 1992, Charles and Diana were in India, and Diana turned up to a photo op in front of the Taj Mahal. Charles was working and he didn't meet her. It's a monument that symbolises love, and there's a now iconic photo of Diana sitting there alone.
Breaks
Jessie,
my heart.
do you recognise that photo?
You know what she's saying?
What?
Doesn't want to be my tampon.
He doesn't want to be my tampon.
Not at all.
I'll be my own tampon.
I'll be my own tampon.
In 1992, Andrew Morton published Diana, Her True Story, which Diana had cooperated with. It was a tell-all about the collapse of the marriage, Charles's affair, and Diana's mental health struggles. That year, Charles and Diana also go to South Korea together on an official tour, and they look so miserable that the British press calls them the Glums. The British press has the shittest names. Oh, the Glums. Oh, shut up.
Glummy.
Like, they're fucking miserable.
They don't want to be married.
They don't want to be married. At the end of that year, the British Prime Minister announces that the couple are separating. Perhaps the biggest bombshell against Charles was the 1995 interview that Diana did with Martin Bashir. We now know Bashir was guilty of deceit and of breaching BBC editorial conduct to obtain the interview, but it looked terrible for Charles. Diana said she suffered from postnatal depression after William and began self-harming and experienced bulimia, both of which intensified when Charles's affair with Camilla began. She said,
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
my favourite line.
Love that line.
It's
Love
just
that line.
so-
I mean, 4 if you're going to count a tampon.
Yeah. She also said that she felt she'd been compelled to perform her role as Princess of Wales and that her behaviour had led friends of Charles to indicate that she was unstable and sick and should be put in a home of some sort. And she said she felt like an embarrassment because of her mental health struggles. On August 31, 1997, Diana died following a car crash. The public was expecting a statement from Buckingham Palace, but there was silence. Charles didn't give a statement. Perhaps he was focusing on grieving privately and helping his sons to grieve. This is hard because this was probably the worst moment for Prince Charles's reputation because people blamed the royal family for this. I don't think Charles can be held accountable for Diana's death, and I can't imagine how hard it would have been to tell your children that their mother has died, no matter what your relationship with that woman is like. But it was absolutely terrible for his public image. Jessie having a temper. Now, I'm sure you remember the moment Charles got a bit cranky about a pen in the days after Queen Elizabeth's death.
It was very bloody thing.
It was bloody thing.
Bloody thing. And then it was throwing the pen, getting very angry, yes.
He's in Northern Ireland doing some sort of signing ceremony. He just seemed to sign things nonstop for several days after that.
Yeah, no wonder he got pissed off. It's
Yeah.
so boring.
He asks...
Can you docu-sign?
I know.
Docu-sign?
He asks for the date, and it turns out he's put the wrong date down.
Oh, no, he needs needs a new pen.
Someone,
A new paper.
So he says, is it the 12th? And someone says 13th. And he says, oh. And then this quietest voice in the background says, you signed the 12th earlier. And I haven't stopped thinking about that because I'm like, on what?
On what document? And how void is it?
And no one acknowledges that could be problematic for that document.
For future.
Nobody did anything to rectify that. Anyway, he hands the pen back to Camilla. And when he hands
Every
it back...
workplace has that fucking person. It's like, okay, quick question. Where were you 3 hours ago when I signed the 12th? Really glad you are the classic person in the workplace that brings it up once it's too late.
Yeah.
Glad you noticed it. Thanks for your help.
Now, Ireland has a decree that's broken. So thanks for that. Anyway, hands the pen back to Camilla and it appears that the pen is leaked.
Oh, shit.
And he gets up and says, oh God, I hate this. I can't bear this bloody thing. What they do every stinking time. He's really upset about the pen. Now, Jess, we laughed at this moment because our Pop is very bloody thing.
He's such a bloody thing.
He's such a bloody thing.
Yeah.
He is often doing handiwork around the house.
Yeah.
He's 95 years old.
Yeah.
Get an air tasker. You don't need to fix your own things, but he'll be fixing something and you just hear a rogue bloody thing.
Yep, he's just attached a plank of wood to his finger and that is because he's nearly blind because he's 95. And he's just gotten a little bit grumpy in his old age.
Yeah.
So we found it quite endearing when Prince Charles yelled at his pen.
We did, but I also understand if Sweetie was having a tough time after his mummy died
R.I.P.
and just lost it.
Yeah.
But this has been a common thing for Charlie.
Really?
Yeah. In 2005, a week before his wedding to Camilla, which you'd think he was in a good mood, Charles was at a photo call with William and Harry on a skiing holiday. After being asked how he was feeling before the big day, he said,
I'm very glad you heard of it anyway.
so like, I'm glad you've heard of my wedding.
Yeah,
This thing
we're
weird.
fucking across it, Charlie.
Then the prince mutters, but he's mic'd up.
Yeah.
Bloody people.
Bloody people.
Earlier, during a 5-minute media event in...
He's just everyone's grandpa. I love her.
I know, in this village in Switzerland, he said under his breath, I hate doing this. Of the BBC's royal correspondent, Charles said, I can't bear that man anyway. He's so awful. He really is. I hate these people.
I can't bear that man. He's so brilliant.
He's not hiding how he feels. Biographers have described Charles as hopelessly thin-skinned, naive and resentful, and someone who is keenly sensitive to violations of protocol.
Okay.
One time
He sounds like the worst.
One time in 1997, he wasn't seated in first class on a trip to Hong Kong, and he wrote in his diary, such is the end of the empire. I sighed to myself. Mate, you're a bit of a wuss. I don't know.
Yeah, he's very hyperbolic in his language. Like everything's the worst thing that's ever happened.
He's very dramatic.
He is.
He's a diva. He's a diva.
He's very Mariah. He is Mariah.
Him and Mariah would get along.
Yeah.
He's been known to berate his gardening staff at his...
Well, he cares a lot about his garden.
Yeah, at his Highgrove estate. But the way he berates them is with a megaphone. Mate.
Where did you get that?
So apparently at his friend's country home, he wanted some fresh air, but he couldn't open the window. Unable to open the window, he picked up a chair and smashed it open. Not satisfied with the results, he smashed another. His temper is not good.
I really like that.
In contrast to his temper, Jessie, it's time for the watercolours. Jessie, did you know that Charles is one of the most successful living artists in the UK?
Oh, f off. He's not. No, he's not.
He is.
By what measure?
Money.
Does he buy his own watercolours?
No, he sells them and people buy them because
they're by Prince Charles.
Yes.
Okay, I just need to see the watercolours.
Well, he does his watercolours and look, they're fine.
Okay, I haven't seen them. If they're good, I'm saying they're
Okay.
good.
But it's like, no offense, but no one would even look at these if you weren't you. The Guardian wrote of him, Charles has the confidence to make art. And I think that says it all. But Jessie, these are his watercolour painting. There's quite a few.
All right. And did you choose the good ones, the bad ones?
I just kind of went for breadth over depth.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
What do you
this
think?
This is hard because this is an incredibly average artwork.
See, they're not terrible.
They're not
some
terrible,
are.
but they're certainly not good.
No.
Okay, incredible overuse of the colour brown. We've got brown hills. It's just not quite right.
Okay.
They're not quite right. This one with the house is just a bit wonky. So it kind of looks like it's falling.
Wonky in a watercolour way or wonky?
No.
Okay.
Wonky in an accident way. Wonky in a lacking skills way.
How about these ones?
Okay.
That one in the middle in particular.
It is very, what do you call it? Art Express. Okay,
Yes.
So in year 12, I don't know if it's just a New South Wales thing, but if you were really good at art, then you made it to Art Express and there's a big exhibition and you go along. These honestly probably wouldn't make it to Art Express if I'm completely honest.
They're just not very
Good.
forward thinking. They're quite basic.
No, they're very, very basic.
How about
these are, I honestly expected a little more. They're just not getting better, are they? Okay, so our body of work, sometimes it's nice to see an improvement. There's not a lot of innovation. It's very simple.
How about these?
What have we got
Just a
here?
couple more.
It's one of those things that you go, oh, maybe that flag is good. And then you have a look at it and you're like, no, actually it's not. It's actually not good. I don't know what the other one is. It's a rolling mountain
But
with
with
two
nothing.
black smudges that I thought at first might have been an army, but in retrospect they're burnt trees.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm an examiner, a year 12 examiner, and I see this. I go, this person's tried. And you know what I will say? Incredible access to watercolour paints. Probably good ones.
Yeah, good quality. Canvases.
Yeah, we're lacking in skill, but we're making up for that in, as you say, breadth.
Okay.
We're creating
Yeah.
a lot. I'd probably give them a band 4, which is about
Sitting
72,
in
73.
Yeah.
Out of 100. Yeah, there's not a lot of creativity.
No.
It's just like I went to a mountain, I went to a house, I went to a castle, and here's a
And I
big tree.
sat there all day.
Yeah.
And I painted it.
Yes. Unimpressive.
Yeah.
Unimpressive.
Jessie, finally we have So No. And these are just a bit of miscellaneous. We love a miscellaneous section. Breakdancing. In 1985, Prince Charles is at a workshop in a village called Middleton-on-Sea in the UK. The conversation went as follows. One of the dancers says to Charles, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to dance?" "Yes," he says. "What sort of music do you call this?" "Disco music, sir."
All right.
And then he dances with this guy, and the guy says afterwards that he was quite good. "He's very good. He got his foot movements right," said someone else. "He said no, he couldn't do it, but I said, come on." He asked me to give him some dancing lessons.
All right, so what we can see is it's Charles. He's got a suit on. He's put his watercolours down in the corner.
Yeah.
He's dancing with, I'm going to assume that's Dwayne. Dwayne is doing a little move. Oh, no.
He's doing a shuffle. He's doing what a lot of white men do when they get on a dance floor, and that is there's a lot of build-up and not a lot of execution. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of build-up.
They stand there like, you just wait, and then they move their knee.
Yeah. And now he's on the floor, kind of gyrating a little bit.
Oh, God, he's doing his arms.
I have 2 words for you. Mr. Bean. He's got a real Mr. Bean vibe.
Oh,
like
no.
a weedy little skinny British guy.
Yep.
Who isn't sure if he's joking or if he is the joke.
I think he desperately wishes he was comfortable on a dance floor.
Oh, wow, he's walking backwards. Okay. That was actually quite upsetting.
Jessie, I don't like it.
Very Mr. Bean.
No. Alternative medicine. Prince Charles likes homeopathy, which is pseudoscience. Now, what is homeopathy? The more I read about it, the less I understand. Yeah. It's something about diluted ingredients treating symptoms.
There's something where it's like, let's say your symptom is nausea, then it gets something that causes nausea, like a plant or a herb or something that causes nausea, and then gives it to you in an extremely diluted way, and then it's meant to help with the nausea.
It's something to do with a lot of zeros. I remember learning about it in psychology, and the lecturer was just ranting about how it's complete pseudoscience and showing us the label. And it's like, it just had lots of zeros and ones.
Yes, and it has no greater effect than a placebo. So people are like, use it with other medicines if you like. It can complement that in that it's totally in your head. Don't forego other medicines in that the other medicines are actually what work.
Yeah. And King Charles, we will note, watercolour artist, yes. King, yes. Medical professional, no. He's not that. But he doesn't just like homeopathy. He has become the patron of the Faculty of Homeopathy in London.
Big dog.
Experts say that homeopathy isn't harmless. If it's used as an alternative to an effective therapy for a serious condition, it might hasten the death of the patient. And that has happened. There's been many high-profile examples of that. And it's not just that type of alternative medicine that Charles likes. He likes something called Gerson therapy, which we mentioned earlier, which is attempting to treat cancer with fruit juice and coffee enemas instead of chemo. Just on the coffee enemas, that does involve pumping room temperature liquid through an area of the body I call the anus,
Otherwise known as the rectum.
the rectum, and it can cause a series of health issues, including constipation, infections, dehydration, fits, and heart and lung problems, even death.
Just a quick one. When did we start performing coffee enemas on ourselves in our home? Because that's been really popularised.
It has. Lately,
So
I
we're chugging coffee up the butthole and we're calling it health. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure there's a lot of evidence. I'm open to it if people want to reach out and provide the evidence.
There's not. I looked it up the other day because I saw somebody talking about it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Basically, I just think it's interesting that Charles is the equivalent of a wellness influencer on Instagram. He's done a bit of a Pete.
Yeah.
He's done a bit of a Pete Evans. He also likes something called Mama therapy. He likes reflexology, which is foot related.
Yeah.
It's just awkward because he just does have a little bit more influence than the average person who likes these things. And I have read that there's been all these instances where, because of his position as the future king, he has been able to put pressure on certain organisations and politicians to increase funding to these sorts of areas. So that's really quite terrifying.
Yeah.
Extravagant spending and odd behaviour. Charles, he's got some weird things. He demands that his pajamas be ironed, and his bed sheets, and his shoelaces. Jessie, that is a profound waste of time.
I don't think he's ironing his own shoelaces, to be
but
fair.
asking anybody else to do it is a waste of their time.
Yeah.
On the taxpayer dollar.
The taxpayer dollar, we're ironing his. What do you think he wears to bed? I just saw it. It is a nightie.
I think it'd be
blue
a
and white
nightie.
striped nightie, not dissimilar to the one worn by the
grandfather
in
Willy
Charlie and
Wonka.
the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what-
But what Charles also wears is a little hat, and it's a little blue hat, like a. Do you know what I'm talking about with a little thing?
It's like a little
Nightcap.
bonnet.
It's a nightcap is what it is.
Yeah.
Also blue and white striped. And it must be ironed for Camilla.
Oh, darling. In a biography written about him, there's a story where he asked staff to leave food out for him to eat later. And when he came downstairs to see the food, he shrieked and called for Camilla. So he's panicking.
Yeah.
He was apparently frightened upon encountering the cold meats covered by the unknown product. And that prompted him to ask Camilla what the product was. And she said, "It's cling film, darling."
So it's Glad Wrap.
Prince Charles didn't know what Glad Wrap was. Darling, he had no idea.
He panicked.
What is it?
I can see him just rolling in the corner and Camilla's like, no, it's just Glad Wrap. It's just Glad Wrap. It's okay. And then she brings it over to him and is like, see? And she makes him touch it, smell it, hold it.
This is why he does a lot of bloody things.
Yeah.
Because he's scared
Yes.
of everything.
Yes.
He go, what is it? Sweetie, it's something
It's
really
cling
normal
film, okay?
that we all use. How about foil? Do you think he's scared of foil?
I don't think he would use foil
No.
either. He's a conservationist except for tampons. So I think he would mostly, I guess he doesn't do a lot of heating things up.
Yeah. I guess it gets cooked fresh.
Yeah.
I think he'd do a lot of yelling in shock at the world. The Daily Beast also included a fascinating tidbit about Prince Charles's habits. In 2018 to 2019, Charles and Camilla spent about $1.7 million on vacationing. Again, taxpayer dollars.
Okay, it's a little much.
And there's all these things where the royal family don't have to pay tax, and then that changed in like recent decades where they were like, oh no, we'll pay a little bit of tax, and then they did full offshore shady
They
stuff.
did Cayman Islands.
They
shit.
did, and
Right.
it's like, hold on, you're living off the taxpayer dollar, and you're not even.
But if we start paying taxes, then how is Charles going to pay for someone to iron his shoelaces? Like, we've just got to try and have a bit of empathy, okay?
When he travels anyway, he demands that his actual bedroom be set up. Like in one of his friends' country houses, he needs his own toilet seat.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he travels with his own toilet seat.
In like his carry-on or like his big bag?
I believe so. A truck arrives the day before with a bed, furniture, and even pictures. So
Maybe
that
his own watercolour pictures to put on the wall so he can sleep.
I need some beautiful art. Charles, that's yours.
That's your art.
He has 132 staff, which is, in my opinion,
Too many.
too many. The Prince of Wales, he doesn't lift a thing, an insider says. He gets up in the morning. His bathrobe is there waiting for him. He walks into the bathroom. The bath is drawn for him already.
Wait, what's the weirdest thing about that sentence?
He's bathing in the morning. He's
having a bath in the morning.
That's
Exactly
weird.
right. A bath in the morning
Is a weird vibe.
Okay, and why is it a weird vibe?
Aren't you in a rush?
Yes, exactly
Do-
right.
do you not
so
have somewhere to
a
be?
bath is too long for the morning because in the morning we don't have enough time. We're running late.
Yeah.
That's why we have a shower. Do we wash all our bits? No, because we don't have time. We just kind of do a quick in and out, mostly for the warmth, not so much for the cleanse. A bath in the morning is too slow.
Yeah.
It's too, like, do we get in
It's
the bath?
leisurely.
It's leisurely. It's a wind down activity, not a wind up activity. I also heard that he needs his water tepid, not too hot.
Okay. He also, when he gets out of the bath, the towel is folded in a special way, so he just has to sit in it and wrap it around him. And
I would never diagnose a man, but do you think he has close ED? You know how Khloe Kardashian says she has close ED, which is problematic for 100 reasons, mostly because she's making fun of OCD. I think he has close ED.
Jessie, it's time for charges and sentences.
All right, my charge. It is one we have seen before in a case that you might not think is relevant to this case, but that's how courts work. This is a charge that was also levied at one Adam Levine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do see that.
Bad and dirty talk. It's something that's obviously becoming endemic in society, and it's something that we need to address, particularly among men. Now, my sentence is different than what it was for Adam Levine,
Okay.
right? Because sometimes with crimes, you've got to make the sentence specific to the criminal. It must be personalised.
Yes.
You can't just be dishing out textbook sentences.
No, not okay. Like, you can't just be pretending like there's a law book
No.
that says what you should sentence someone for a
No,
particular crime.
exactly.
This is bespoke.
This is bespoke. This is personalised sentencing. So, obviously, we're talking about how Charles is a bit of a climate activist.
Yes.
And he really cares about sustainability. And that's partly why I am so upset that he wanted to flush tampons down the
You
toilet.
should have known better.
Obviously, we discussed I'm going to get emotional, the blocking of a dolphin's blowhole, maybe a whale's blowhole, and choking a seahorse. Here I am imagining a mass genocide of seahorses
Okay.
because of Camilla's heavy flow.
I can't help it if I've got a heavy flow and a wide-set vagina.
Actually, I reckon she's past menopause, so maybe we will see an uptick. But what I want is a campaign run by Charles.
Okay.
Okay? It's called Don't Flush and Choke a Fish.
Okay, lovely.
And
really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. I tried to do something with the f sound.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Flush and fish.
Yep.
And so what I want is for Charles he's kind of at the front. There's an aquarium behind him and it's like fish, sharks, floating tampons.
Yeah.
And he's going, this is what can happen if you flush your tampons down the loo. They end up in the aquarium and they ruin it for the kids.
That should be his cause.
That should be his cause.
Like-
cleaning up the oceans.
Yeah, from the tampons.
Yes.
It was misinformation what he said.
It was misinformation, and you know what it was? It was encouraging.
Mm.
Everyone went, oh, well, if Charles does it, if it's good enough for Prince, good enough for me.
Mm.
And people just started flushing. And then planet's done.
Yeah.
So I think we need a campaign, Don't Flush and Choke the Fish, by Prince Charles.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. Just as a side punishment, I think just calling him Prince Charles, even though he is actually the king now, is really petty.
Yeah.
And I think we should keep doing that.
Yeah,
He'd
I like
get
that.
I'm king, the bloody thing. That's what he says.
Bloody thing.
I'm king, call me that. You can't make me. Jessie, my charge.
Yep.
Not getting a real job until he was 73 years old.
It's a long time.
That's quite old to not really have a real job.
He had that job at the homeopathy centre.
Yeah, and he did watercolour painting. They're not real jobs.
No. Well, he's made a lot of money from the watercolour painting.
Yeah.
So he spent most of his life as an artist.
Yeah. Which is a big surprise. But everything he's done has been because of who he is and not because of hard work, evidenced by the watercolour paintings. But 73 is quite old to enter the workforce.
It's actually when most leave it.
Yeah. And he went, bloody thing, now I've got to start working. That's what he said. My sentence, abolish the monarchy. That's what I think it has to be. So I think that what we have to do
For retirement purposes.
yeah, I think that can be his little gift after everything he's done is if he just went, you know what? This ain't right.
This ain't it.
Looked around, looked at the country. He looked at all the areas of the Commonwealth and he went, you know what? People be struggling. We shan't be making them give us money for our Buckingham Palace renovations. That seems unnecessary. Let's abolish it.
This ain't it. And I wouldn't mind if he lent into his reflexology because everyone has their thing.
Yeah.
I've always said this. Everyone has their silly little thing. I don't mind a psychic. If he wanted to go full alternative medicine, do it. But not as
a
not as
private
my
citizen.
king.
Not as my king. That's the other thing is I do have to say he's not my king. He's not my king.
Technically, he is your king.
No, he's not my king. I just think if I'm going to have a king from the UK, it's probably going to be Ed Sheeran or Harry Styles.
I quite like Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah, he's not my king.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it is abolishing the monarchy.
Okay, love that.
As his punishment.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cancelled. For all the receipts, mostly a collection of King Charles's watercolour paintings, you can check out the twins_thoughts on Instagram.
And we'd love to hear from you. Call the pod phone on 02 899 9386. We want recommendations, we want charges, we want sentences.
The executive producer of Cancelled is Talissa Bazaz with audio editing by Leah Porges. And we'll be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.